Is everyone here for the Golang workshop? Yep. Okay. We're gonna start now then. All right. So this is the Golang crash course, right? My name is Philip.
My name is Andy Drain. Yeah, well, we're all first years, by the way.
Oh,
yeah. Right. So some background. Golang was made in Google, but before then there were some problems that led to the creation of Golang. They initially used the three languages: Python, Java, and C or C++. Each of those had their own problems that made them bad to work with. Python was kind of simple, but then it wasn't good for large scale projects. Java was, well, Java, and it can be kind of convoluted and redundant sometimes. And C++, it works, but it's also slow to compile because it's old and it wants to save a lot of memory. And all three of them had kind of scuffed implementations of concurrency, and you would need external libraries for that. So in 2008, their solution was to make Golang. More background. These were the people who made Golang: Robert Greismer, Rob Pike, and Ken Thompson. Some of their past experiences, they worked on the V8 JavaScript engine, which was the foundation of Google Chrome and other web browsers. They also made UTF-8 and Unix, and they also made the B programming language, which was the foundation of C.
So now we're going to talk about some advantages of why you should learn Golang, specifically about the language. So first up, the type system. So Golang has a strong and static type system, which just means that all the types are set at compile time and can't be changed throughout the program. But it also means that the compiler has the capability to tell what type of variable you intend to make, so you don't have to specify it every time. Second is the community is a very strong community, is always evolving. It makes it pretty easy for new developers to get into it, and there's a lot of resources for it too. There was an emphasis on simplicity, so there's a lot of complex functions like object orientation or a few other things that were left out because they would increase the complexity, and it was left to be more simple for usage on large scale applications. And the main goal was concurrency. It's also very fast because Golang compiles it into a standalone binary file, which means it has all of your dependencies, source code, everything in one file, and you don't have to rely on external libraries every time you run it to get your dependencies. It also has a garbage collector, which means that you don't have to manage your memory. Now, in some cases, managing your memory could be beneficial, but Golang is based on simplicity, so it's better just leave it to the computer to do that for yourself. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, the Python, Java, C++, they don't have built-in concurrency, and Golang fixes that and has it. So they have Go routines and other things, so you don't need to scuff solutions for it.
Anyway, you can also consider most of these points an extension of point 3. A lot of these are a result of the emphasis on simplicity. For example, point 4, task completions compile into one binary file. That's because they wanted it to be more simple and such.
Also, real quick, if you guys have any questions about what we're talking about, feel free to just raise your hand and ask it. All right, so now we're going to talk about why it's important to learn Go besides those advantages. So as we mentioned, it's powerful for large-scale applications, and companies have large-scale applications, so there's a link right there. It's also self-contained and efficient. And many companies already use it, like Capital One, Twitch, Netflix, Uber. They have a website on their doc called Case Studies. We'll link it at the end of it. You can read more of them. It's also relatively new and looks attractive on a resume. Additionally, last quarter, I went to a business and diversity expo where I met this Amazon senior solution architect. His name was Ruben Jimenez. He was talking about for computer science, you should learn open source projects and also Golang because AWS is using it as well as Lambda. And point number 2 is self-contained and efficient. Lambda, a service underneath AWS, is made to be self-contained and efficient. So it works really well with Go. And this is just for Amazon. But like we mentioned, a lot of other companies have their own situations for it. For example, there's a company called Stream. They switched from Python to Golang because it was handling their multi-threading applications better.
So on this slide, we have resources that you can check out to help with learning Golang. These 3 slides will basically help you learn the essentials. And if you want to get started without like actually installing Golang, you can go to the Go Playground, which is on the official site of the Golang website, and then you can check out you can run the scripts without actually downloading.
We'll go there right now to show you guys. So this is how the Go Playground looks like. As you can see right now, there's a Hello World program. If you go over here, you can choose like a lot of scripts that'll tell you how to do it in Golang. For example, display image. This is like a binary image. At the end, you can see that it makes an image. You can also edit it and explore around with Golang. So I recommend you guys do that right now if you want to just like mess around with it. Did you want to say
Yeah. So Golang does have like its similarities with C++, Python, Java, etc. But every code needs to come in a package. So the first line, or well, third line in this case, would be to put it in package. In this case, it's package main. And if you want to, and for input output, you have to import an external library FMT. So fifth line is import FMT. Then in the seventh line, you have your you have your main declaration, function main. Since there's no return, you don't need to say like function main void. You can just leave the return type out for this part. So you have fmt.println hello sekai, and you don't need a semicolon for this case, but actually you don't need semicolons at all.
we go back to our slide? Yeah. So now we're going to talk about, actually, let's real quick, we'll go to the case studies. Let's look at this real fast. So as you can see, we mentioned a lot of companies are switching to Golang. So by the time you get to the market for job searching, you can tell that it's going to be pretty valuable to know a little bit about this.
Basically, it's pretty simple to install Golang. Just click on that one, and then basically down here you can freeze from. Okay, you can check out whatever operating system you have. Click on the one you have. And then if you don't know what operating system you have, click on installation instruction. And then you can click on this button, which automatically checks which operating systems you have. It might not work all the time, but it works like sometimes. What do you mean? It doesn't matter. Okay, and then basically you can follow the instructions right here. Just like you can confirm you have it if you use the command line.
Essentially, when you finish downloading it, you want to real quick just run the Go version so that you can confirm that you actually successfully got Golang fully installed. So if you're going to download it, let us know if you have any questions or problems right now. We'll give you like 5 minutes. So to make a Hello World program, we're going to first make a new folder, or well, we're going to make a new folder to house our code. So just and then once you make your new folder, just change your directory into it. Now at this point, what you're going to run is go mod init hello world. Now what this command does is it'll make a mod file, a go.mod file for your folder. And what a go.mod file is, it holds all your dependencies for your code. It'll just manage it for you. Like you mentioned earlier, when you compile it, it'll put into one binary file, which you create dependencies, right? So it does that based off your go.mod file. Once you hit enter, it'll create it for you. Now, some of you might get like a suggestion to run go mod tidy. If you have that suggestion, all that's doing is that it'll update your mod file to be in update sync with your source code. But right now, we don't have any source code, so you don't have to run that right now. So after you do this, you successfully created it. So what you're going to do is you're going to just open it in VS Code.
Not open this VS.
Yes. It'll open, So we have it here, we'll open this. And once you get to this point, you'll see your go.mod file is right there in VS Code. If you guys get stuck or have any questions on the process, just raise your hand and stop me. We'll talk about that. Is everyone good right now? Okay. So once you get to this point, all you're gonna do, or if you want, we can first look at this. As you can see, it just says your folder name and the version of Go you're running. These are your dependencies. That's all I have for now. We'll create a new file. We'll call it hello world or whatever significant name you want to name it. And the extension will be .go, like that. And now that you have your file open, you'll see there's an error immediately. And Andy talked about this earlier. If you hover over it, well, actually, some of you might get like a message saying to install a Go extension for VS Code. Quickly do that. It should look like this one. Like this one. So once you get this installed, you'll be able to check what errors you have. So once you get this installed, then you'll see that you have an error over here.
Or if you don't want to deal with all that, you can still follow along and Go Playground.
Oh yeah, if you're in Go Playground, then you won't have that, but you can still follow along with this, yeah. So if you hover over this error, you'll see it says expected semicolon, but found EOF. EOF is end of file. So essentially, it was trying to look for a package name, right? Like package main or something, because that's how Go works. It requires packages to organize its code. And if it doesn't find that and it finds the end of file character immediately, then something wrong with it. So to fix that, we'll just type package main to get that in there, and then that error will be gone. And if we do package main, that gives us the access to use the main function that comes with it. So we'll go ahead and quickly do that. Now you have a main function, and if you save this, you'll notice there's no errors, but the code doesn't do anything either. So to fix that, like in C++, we have to import a library for this. So we'll import FMT. Now FMT it stands for format. And after you do this and you hover over it, you'll see that Go doesn't like it if you import stuff and you don't use it, because it wants to keep the code efficient and effective, right? So if you don't use your packages, then that's like unnecessary importation. So
This also generally applies with everything you initialize in Go. If you initialize a variable and you don't use it, it's gonna error.
Also, it will give you an error.
Yeah.
So if you hover over it though, it helps us because it tells us what the FMT package actually does. You can see like a brief overview of it right here. You have like, if you use printf, you can use these percentage formatters, I think, right? Flags, I'm not sure what they're called. To access, like, for example, v will get you the value. Hashtag v will get you a syntax representation of the value. So we can use this to print out our hello world statement. We'll just say fmt.print. And as you type in, you can see there's like multiple types of print. We have regular print, printf, which is the format. This is where you can use your flags. Ln, which is like the new line. We'll just use this one for now. And in here, we'll just say %v to figure out the value. And then we'll do like a new line after it. And then in the value field, we'll type hello world. Now, if you save it, no errors, it compiled. So now we'll open up a new terminal. I did that with control tilde. Right. And so now lower this down so you can see the code. Which one? Oh, this one? Yeah. You can do it normally. I'm just trying to show you like what the %v does. Yeah, that's all. So now that we're here, we can say go run main, or not main, or we call it helloWorld.go, right? And you'll see it works. It printed it out. Now, also, if you're thinking like, okay, we imported a dependency right here, right? So it should be in our mod file, but it's not, because the FMT library is a standard library. And if it's standard, you don't need to like externally download it. But you'll see later, when we're doing our Discord bot, we'll be taking packages from GitHub, and those will be in our mod file. We need requirements for those. I already did. All right, so we can experiment a little more. Before I actually, if you hover above FMT, oh yeah, it should be here. You can see like the entire like library, right? So just looking through this real briefly, you can tell me what what this does, this code right here, before I run it, I think it's uppercase. Yeah, okay. Before I run this code, if someone can tell me what it will print out, yeah, just raise your hand if you know the answer. If you want like help, just hover above this again, and you can see like all the things in there. What is it? So what type is it? Right. So if you go here, it prints out string. It's pretty as simple as that. And just like a number, for example, and save that. It'll print out int. So now we're going to go into a topic of Golang type system. We said it was strong and static, right? So normally when you declare a variable in a strong and static type, you would want to do something like this, right? Well, var. And the way you declare variables in Golang, you're going to type in var, and then the name of the variable, we'll just say x for now. The type of the variable, we'll put as an int, and then what it's equal to, we'll just set 0 for now. And now if you hover above this, you'll see that x is not being used, and Golang doesn't like that. To fix that, we'll quickly just say print f, and then I'll also print the type out, and we'll put x here. Save this. Oh, what is that? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So in here, it was expecting 2 arguments, one for v and one for t, but I only put in 1. So I'll put 1 more, and now it'll work. And you can see we have 0 and int because we implicitly declared it. Now, if we don't include the int part, and we don't include the var part, Golang is not going to know what type of variable we want this to be, right? Even though the 0 is right there. So for this, there's a shortcut in Golang syntax where you just put a colon, x colon equal, and this will work the same way. And we can see that right here, 0 int. The reason this works is because Golang knows that, okay, the right side is clearly an integer. We're going to use an integer value here. And because there's a colon, that means we're declaring the variable for the first time. If I just do equal, then I'm setting the variable. In order for this to work, I would need to declare it outside somewhere, like var x int equals 0. Then it would be like, okay, we're just setting the variable, changing it out a bit. One more thing, I'll put this back to colon. One more thing is that you can't do the colon shortcut outside of functions. So if I'm in like the main scope right here, the global scope, I can't say like y colon equal 1. That's not going to work. It's not going to know what I want to do with that. So if you're outside, you have to use over var. Now we're going to try to do a exponent function. So in order to create a function in Golang, you're going to do func, and then the name of your function, we'll just say x, exp. Now in here, you're going to put in your parameters. Now in normal languages, when you put parameters, you'd be like type, and then the name of the type, right? Or name of the variable. But in Golang, is the other way around. So we're going to say number, and then power, or power. And now on the right side, you're going to want to put the return type. So the next one is probably going to return an integer. So we're going to put int. And in here, you can start programming your function. So before we program this in Golang, does anyone know how you program an exponent function in like other languages? Yeah, repeated multiplication, exactly. So in order to do anything repeatedly, you're going to need to do a for loop. So for a for loop, the way that works in Golang, if you just type for, Golang does not have any while loops or for each loops or anything like that. It's all the same type of loop. It's just for, you declare an integer here, right? You set it up, then you, you put in a condition, and then an incremental thing, right? And then you're going to put out brackets. This is how for loops work in Golang.
Note the lack of parentheses.
Right. Now, if you want to have like a while loop, right, all you have to do is get rid of the initial declaration part, and the incremental part. Now you have just a condition. So for I is less than 5, right? For I is not declared right now, so let's give an error. For example, we have like a counter, and we set it equal to like 0, and we said, oh, counter less than 5, and then we just increase the counter inside here. Now, this is basically the equivalent of a Golang while loop. Now, for the exponent, the way we're going to do this, we're going to
You just move the screen share.
oh, wait, I think I know. Let me just do this there, and then I should be able to drive you right. How do you move the screen share? Yeah, I don't think it's working out. Whatever. All right, we'll just right, so we're going to first declare the result of our thing. The way we declare it, we're going to do the colon thing because again, we're in a function. And we'll just initially set to 0. Next, we'll do a for loop. So we want to repeat the repeated multiplication, the number of times that you put in our power, right? Because that's how many times we want to multiply it. So to do that, we'll just say for pow less than, or for pow bigger than 0, right? And then inside here, we can just say so all this is doing is that I'm declaring a counter variable inside here. I'm setting it equal to the amount that the user inputted as an argument of power. I'm saying as long as that counter is bigger than 0, positive, keep the trap being 1, and inside here, we're going to do our repeated multiplication. So instead of setting this to 0, I'm going to set this a num actually, so that we have our starting value. What? I'll get to that. So we're going to say result equals to, because now we're not declaring it, so we don't need a colon here. If we declared it again, it would get an error, right? Or it wouldn't be the same variable. So we'll say equals result times num. This is your repeated multiplication. This is the exponent function right here. Now that we finished it, we need to return it because remember we have our int return type. So we'll just say return result. This was good to everyone? Yeah, this makes sense. Any questions on this? And then we'll go in here and we'll say fmt.print and we'll call our exponent function. We'll say 5 to the power of 2, right? Save this, go in here, run it, and we get 125. Yeah. You should set results instead of num. Oh yeah. Good point. Because that did it to the third exponent, didn't it? Yeah. There, now it's a 25. Thank you. But so now yeah. So now we're gonna talk about one more thing where notice how there's no like it just has a type of the return. There are instances where you can actually specify the name of it. So if I said result int instead of doing this. Parentheses. Use parentheses? Yeah. If we put parentheses around it and name it, we don't have to declare it anymore. We don't need a colon declare. We can just set it to a value. And then notice how I'm not returning result anymore. I'm just saying return. This is called a naked return. And all it does is returns whatever return variable we declared up here. Okay. Right. So that's basically it for Golang. There's not much else I'm going to cover right now. We'll cover more in future sessions probably. If you want to do more like learning of Golang, we provided sources right here. Right here. So there's this tutorial site which is directly on the main Go page. If you go over here, it's actually pretty good. I used this site to learn about it. So you can see there's pointers over here. If you go here, you can see this is everything it teaches you about Golang. So Golang we covered right now. We covered where is it? We covered packages, variables, and functions. This first part is exactly what I covered right now. Next up, it goes into, oh no, we covered also for loop, which is this part, flow control statements. Yeah, switches in Golang. The defer, what the defer does, it allows it to call a function after the current function finishes running. That's like part of the concurrency part. And then we have maps, pointers, structs, fields, types, arrays. If you have time after classes or whatever free time you get, just take a look at this website, go through them. It teaches really well about all the things in Golang. There's also a few videos over here. This video is very detailed, 7 hours. It goes into basically the same thing as this, but like it gives you more examples and it's like talking. The comments are also pretty helpful over there. And then of course, yeah, so there's more resources. There's more resources besides what we've given here. So if you ever feel like you have free time, go ahead, learn more of that. Yeah. So now the main part of this workshop was Golang, but we're going to teach Golang in the form of a Discord bot. Specifically a Discord bot that uses databases. How many of you guys have heard of MongoDB? Just raise your hands. Yeah, so we're going to be learning about MongoDB and the Discord bot here. If we go here, now I'm going to warn you, the bot that I have created as a demonstration is a little interesting. And I made it about like a year ago. I just finished it for this, so. Oh. So this is how the page of MongoDB looks. It works at Atlas. And as you can see, I have my database right here. Now, before I use it, it's going to give me an error if I try to run my VS Code data bot because my IP address isn't in there. So if I go network access, you can see it requires the IP address. So let me go do that. All right, and load it. Okay. So now if I go to, I'm going to try to open VS Code one more time. It doesn't do that weird. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go here, say open folder. It is this one. All right, now I know this code looks like a lot, but we're going to learn about it all throughout the sessions. It'll make sense. Now, the first difference you can see here is that there's something called GoSum. What GoSum does is that notice how in our Hello World program, we didn't have any dependencies. So Go mod was empty. If you look at the Go mod in this one, you can see there's a lot of requirements in this one. So the GoSum just takes those requirements, downloads it, and when we run our main Go file, it'll just take the GoSum and use those dependencies. So now I'm gonna quickly run the bot. All right, now it's running, and we're gonna close this out. I'm gonna open up Discord. Hopefully I don't dox anything. I'm gonna go to, yeah, SCC, okay. So it's not going.
You just close the member list.
Memory list. Oh,
The member list. The icon with people. Yeah.
cool. But it still worked well. I'll just open the Discord directly. Okay. So as you can see, the name of the bot is Rent a Bot. It's a reference to a certain show, but to showcase what we're going to be learning, next week we're going to be learning how to set up our Discord bot and make it so that you can have a hello world program in your Discord bot. Over here, I have it as like a simple hello. It'll just respond with oh, okay. It responds with something, right? So then that's where our next week programs will be. We're gonna have it so it can read your message, know that you sent a message, and it will reply back with something. Next, we're gonna have a on the third session, we're gonna talk about mini games. So we'll have it so that you can have a game running. We're keep looking for your next input for it. If I put a get here, it replies back because it knows I'm typing out, right? So it keeps checking your messages and it will keep responding until you tell it to finish the game. Oh, just in. So when you finish the game, now it stops it. If I guess again, nothing's gonna happen because it finished the game. That's our week 3 thing, or session 3 thing. Session 4, we're gonna talk about, I believe it's embeds. And an embed is like, if I said help, right? It responds with like this large chunk with detailed text. Even if I say like this one, it responds with like an image and like text and title, right? This is what embed. We'll be learning how to make those and sending those off in our Discord bot. And then session 5 or 5, not sure, we'll be talking about voice commands. Now, for voice commands, let's close this out. Okay. Voice commands will have a volume and will join your, oh wow, 900, okay. It'll join your voice channel. I'm not sure how loud this is, so hopefully we don't lose our hearing. If I say voice, it'll play an air horn sound. As you can hear it there, right? And it's not just like playing the stuff, because it knows that because I joined the VC, it'll join that one. If I'm not in a voice channel and we try to do that same command again, you'll notice that it doesn't work because I'm not in a channel. But so then next, or in our last session, we're going to talk about databases, right? The MongoDB thing I was showing you earlier. Currently, as you can see, I have Dio as my character. If I put my balance, you can see I have 500, right? So I can try to rent someone else. Now this part, if you guys have heard of CRUD, create, read, update, delete, that's what this part is about. So this thing with reading, it read my data. Over here, I'm going to be updating my data. So if I say S, it'll give me a list of people that I can rent, right? So if I say myself, it'll say I rented me, and then it will update my data. And if you look at my bal again, it says 300. It used to say 500. And if you look at the database, it should also update, which we can view right here. So it says I have 3 users. Not sure why it's not loading now. But, and then I don't know why it's not showing the actual data, but normally it'll show out all of the data thing and all the values it has, right? There should be a way to check this. Okay. Yeah. Mongo is free. So this one is the free trial cluster I have here. I don't remember exactly how much data it gives, but I'm pretty sure it's like close to at least a good number of gigabytes of collection data. So yeah, the free trial is pretty good. Now, I'm not sure if MongoDB is like the best database to use with Golang. I will research that. If I find something better, we'll probably use that instead. But yeah, the point is that you can create, read, update, and even delete data. If you look back at our VS Code, I'll briefly show you the code that was used to make that data update thing, which should be in DB here. Yep. So as you can see, this is how we're getting the actual databases, right? We get our main database, the users, characters. Then we have a function to return those data and can disconnect also. And if we go to like the rent command, where's that? This part is the reading. So it reads for the ID, right? My user ID of my Discord ID, right? It'll look in the user collection. It'll find it and it'll put it into a user variable. And if it couldn't find it, then it'll say, we couldn't find one for a user, creating a user profile. Now this is the create part of CRUD. It's called insert one. It'll insert into the users with all this data right here. And there's a lot more that goes into this, which we'll be discussing in the coming weeks. So if any of that interests you and you want to make your Discord bot in Golang and learn more about how we can do stuff like this, attend future sessions. I think that's all we're going to have for today and this week. I know we said 5 to 7 p.m., but it looks like we ended early. So yeah, I think future sessions should be like 5 to 6. So yeah, that's it. All right, thank you.